I, 27M, need advice about my current relationship situation. My girlfriend, 26F, and I met at a mutual friend's birthday party in June. She seemed really fun and outgoing at first. We exchanged numbers and started texting immediately. By our third date, we were spending almost every day together. Within 2 months, she was practically living at my place even though we never officially discussed moving in. I work as a software developer at a tech company and she works in marketing. Our schedules aligned well initially. I work from home 3 days a week and she has flexible hours. Everything seemed perfect until last night when she revealed something that has me questioning our entire relationship. We were having dinner at my place when she started talking about her past relationships. The conversation started normally enough with her mentioning some college boyfriends. Then she casually dropped a bombshell. She had affairs with 2 married executives at her previous company over the past 3 years while she was single. The first affair lasted 3 months with a 45-year-old VP who had 3 kids. The second was a 4-month relationship with a 42-year-old director who had 2 teenagers. She knew both men were married but pursued relationships with them anyway. What shocked me most was her complete lack of remorse when discussing it. She simply said they were both unhappy in their marriages and she gave them what they needed. When I pointed out that she potentially helped destroy 2 families, she just shrugged it off saying it was not her responsibility to protect other people's marriages. Her exact words were that the men made their own choices and since she was single, she did nothing wrong. She even bragged about the expensive gifts they gave her. This revelation bothers me deeply because it completely contradicts how controlling she is about monogamy in our relationship. Within days of us becoming official, she made me delete all dating apps while she watched. She even went through my phone to ensure they were completely uninstalled. She then demanded I cut contact with my 2 female friends from college. Even though they live in different states and I rarely talk to them, she said no other woman should have any connection to me. She monitors who likes my social media posts and gets upset if any female names appear. The controlling behavior extends far beyond social media. Just 2 weeks into dating, she insisted we share our live locations through phone tracking. I was hesitant but agreed to keep the peace. Now she constantly checks where I am in video calls to verify my location if I'm out with friends. Her neediness affects my work too. She texts me every 15 to 20 minutes throughout my workday, even during important meetings. If I take more than 30 minutes to respond, she starts calling repeatedly. My team lead has noticed my productivity dropping because of these constant interruptions. Last week highlighted her hypocrisy perfectly. She complained I wasn't giving her enough attention despite me spending every evening and weekend with her. Then she threatened that if I didn't give her more attention, she would start posting revealing photos on social media to get it from other men. This came from someone who checks my phone gallery regularly to ensure I don't have old photos of female friends. The more I analyze her behavior, the more it seems like projection. She had no issues sleeping with married men but acts insanely jealous and possessive with me despite having full access to my phone, social media and location. She accuses me of potential cheating multiple times a week without any basis. Her relationship history makes things even more concerning. She told me her ex cheated on her which left her with trust issues. But she sees no irony in having been the other woman herself. She justifies it saying being single absolved her of any responsibility. My friends have noticed red flags too. My best friend from college visited last month and was shocked by how she never left us alone to catch up. She kept interrupting our conversations and got visibly angry when I focused on him instead of her. Later she accused me of caring more about my friends than her. Even my normally quiet sister raised concerns after meeting her. She observed how my girlfriend tenses up whenever I talk to any woman, even waitresses or store clerks. At a family dinner, she kept pulling me away from conversations with female relatives. Her own friend group enables this behavior completely. When I met them, they praised her for keeping me on a tight leash and said all men need to be controlled or they will cheat. One friend even suggested I give her all my social media passwords to prove my loyalty. My sister, who has always given good relationship advice, says this level of control combined with a history of affairs is extremely concerning. She thinks my girlfriend likely cheated in her past relationships and is projecting her own unfaithful tendencies onto me. What really bothers me is how she claims to hate cheaters and demands complete transparency from me while having zero remorse about her own role in infidelity. She keeps saying she would never cheat because she knows how it feels to be cheated on. But her actions and history tell a different story. I feel torn about what to do. 5 months is a relatively short time but we've become very enmeshed due to practically living together. Part of me wants to end things before getting more invested. But another part wonders if I'm overreacting to her past mistakes. Looking for perspective from others who may have dealt with similar situations. Should I be as concerned as I am about her controlling behavior and lack of remorse? Is this level of possessiveness normal early in a relationship? How much should someone's past affairs matter if they were single at the time? Update 1: I needed some time to process everything before posting this update. A lot has happened in the past 2 weeks that made my situation even clearer. The morning after my original post, I decided to have an honest conversation with my girlfriend about her controlling behavior and past affairs. I felt I owed it to our relationship to address these issues directly before making any decisions. I invited her over for dinner and tried to calmly explain how her constant monitoring was affecting me. I mentioned specific incidents, like how she called my team lead last week pretending to be my sister when I didn't answer her texts during a client meeting. I also brought up how uncomfortable I felt about her demanding access to all my accounts and forcing me to cut off female friends. Her initial reaction was defensive. She accused me of trying to create space so I could cheat on her. Then suddenly, she broke down crying. Through tears, she revealed that her father had been a serial cheater throughout her childhood. She described how he had multiple affairs with younger women from his office, and how her mother caught him repeatedly but stayed in the marriage. She explained how her mother became extremely controlling of her father after discovering his affairs. She would check his phone daily, follow him to work, and create scenes if he spoke to any woman. My girlfriend grew up watching this dynamic and said it shaped her view of relationships. She claimed her mother taught her that men cannot be trusted and need to be monitored constantly. For a moment, I felt terrible for her. Growing up in such a toxic environment must have been traumatic. I started to wonder if maybe she just needed patience and understanding to work through her trust issues. But then the conversation took an unexpected turn. She wiped her tears and said that since she had opened up about her trauma, I needed to prove my commitment to healing her trust issues. She pulled out her phone and showed me engagement ring photos, saying only marriage would make her feel secure enough to stop checking up on me. She had already researched venues and picked a wedding date for next spring. I was completely thrown by this manipulation. Using her childhood trauma to pressure me into marriage after just 5 months felt calculated and wrong. When I told her I wasn't ready for marriage and needed time to process everything, she switched from tears to rage within seconds. That's when she revealed something that made my blood run cold. She admitted to going through my work laptop while I was showering last week. She found photos from my college graduation that included female classmates. She had already looked these women up on LinkedIn and Facebook, convinced I was still in touch with them secretly. I was furious about the privacy violation. These were photos from 6 years ago that I had completely forgotten about. But she insisted this was evidence that I was emotionally cheating on her with my college friends. She then showed me screenshots. She had already messaged 2 of the women in the photos warning them to stay away from her man. Before I could even respond to this invasion, she started posting cryptic Instagram stories about untrustworthy men and how women need to protect themselves. Within hours, her friends began bombarding me with hostile messages. She had apparently told them I was emotionally abusing her by refusing to commit and keeping photos of other women. When I tried calling her to clear up her lies, she didn't answer but texted that she was getting drinks with friends to cope with my betrayal. Around midnight, she showed up at my apartment completely drunk. She alternated between sobbing about how much she loved me and screaming that I was a coward afraid of commitment. My neighbors called security because of her screaming in the hallway. When security arrived, she told them I had hit her. Thankfully, my hallway security camera proved this was a lie, and they escorted her out. But the fact that she would make such a dangerous false accusation terrified me. After getting escorted out, she spent the entire night calling me from different numbers since I had blocked hers. She left dozens of voicemails ranging from apologies to threats. In one message, she threatened to tell my boss I spend work hours sexting other women. In another, she said she would hurt herself if I didn't commit to her. The next morning, she emailed my sister a long message claiming I had led her on with promises of marriage, used her for sex, and was now discarding her for other women. My sister, who had witnessed her controlling behavior firsthand, immediately called me concerned about my safety. She urged me to document everything in case legal action becomes necessary. My girlfriend's behavior has become increasingly erratic and frightening over the past 2 days. She's been parked outside my apartment building multiple times. She created fake social media accounts to message my friends and family after I blocked her everywhere. She even tried to get into my building by telling the doorman she lived with me. After discussing the situation with my sister and friends, I've decided to end this relationship formally via email with witnesses copied. I've already spoken to my building management and workplace security about not letting her in. I'm also gathering evidence of her harassment in case I need to pursue legal options. I feel like I've had a narrow escape from what could have become an even more dangerous situation. Her rapid escalation from crying about childhood trauma to making false assault accusations has shown me who she really is. I'll post another update once I've sent the breakup email and dealt with the aftermath. Update 2: the past month has been absolute chaos. Breaking up with her unleashed a level of crazy I wasn't prepared for. After sending the breakup email with my sister and best friend copied as witnesses, I thought the worst was over. I was very wrong. The next morning, she showed up at my office during a client meeting. She somehow convinced reception she was my fiancé and had an emergency. When security tried to remove her, she started screaming about how I had promised to marry her and was cheating on her with my female coworkers. My boss had to pause the client call because her screaming could be heard through the walls. HR got involved after this incident. While they were understanding, they suggested I work from home for a few weeks until things calmed down. That's when things got even crazier. A man I'd never met messaged me on LinkedIn. He introduced himself as one of her married ex-lovers, the VP from her previous company. He warned me that she had contacted his wife threatening to expose their affair unless he helped convince me to reconcile with her. Apparently, this wasn't the first time she'd tried this. When their affair ended, she stalked his family for months and threatened to tell his kids about the affair unless he left his wife for her. During our conversation, he revealed more disturbing details. She hadn't just had affairs with 2 married executives like she told me. There were at least 4 others he knew about. She would target married higher-ups, seduce them, collect evidence of the affairs, and then use it as leverage when things ended. Over the next week, she created over a dozen fake Instagram and Facebook profiles to harass me and everyone I know. She sent screenshots of our old texts to my entire team, carefully edited to make it look like I had been emotionally abusive. She even photoshopped some conversations to make it appear I had cheated on her. The harassment spread to my family too. She kept calling my parents' house late at night. She told my sister's husband that I had given her an STD. She even messaged my 16-year-old cousin pretending to warn her about what a predator I was. Each time I blocked a fake account, she would create 2 more. Things escalated when her brother showed up at my apartment one evening. He was aggressive at first, saying I had used his sister and driven her to depression. But when I showed him screenshots of her threats and the security footage of her drunk incident, his whole demeanor changed. That's when he opened up about her past. This pattern of behavior had been going on for years. At her last job, she was fired after stalking a married executive who ended their affair. She harassed his wife so much they had to move to a different city. She had done similar things to other married men she was involved with. Her brother also revealed she had been in therapy briefly after the workplace stalking incident, but stopped going when the therapist suggested she had borderline personality disorder. Their parents had tried to get her help multiple times, but she always claimed everyone else was the problem, not her. I was also contacted by the wife of the other married executive she told me about. This woman shared screenshots of horrible messages my ex had sent her over several months. She had created fake social media accounts pretending to be her husband's coworkers, sending messages about encountering him and my ex in compromising situations at work. My company's legal team sent her a cease and desist letter after she tried to contact our clients. She responded by showing up at our office again, this time telling security she was pregnant with my child. When they wouldn't let her in, she staged a crying breakdown in the parking lot until police were called. I've been documenting everything and working with a lawyer to get a restraining order. The evidence from her previous victims has strengthened my case. Her pattern of stalking and harassment is well established. I'm also considering pressing charges for the false allegations and defamation if she doesn't stop. Her brother has been surprisingly helpful, providing statements about her history of this behavior. He feels guilty for initially threatening me and wants to make amends. He's trying to convince their parents to get her professional help, but so far they're in denial about how serious the situation is. For now, I'm staying with a friend whose address she doesn't know. I've had to suspend most of my social media accounts and change my phone number. My company is allowing me to transfer to our office in another city next month. I never imagined a 5-month relationship could turn my life upside down like this. I'll update again once the restraining order situation is resolved. I just hope she doesn't escalate things further before then. Update 3: I've waited 6 months to post this final update because I wanted to be sure things were truly over. After multiple court appearances and police reports, I finally got a permanent restraining order against my ex. But even that hasn't completely ended this nightmare. The restraining order was granted after she violated the company's cease and desist letter 12 times. She created new email addresses daily to contact my coworkers. She even sent a mass email to everyone in my LinkedIn network claiming I had given her an STD and abandoned her while pregnant. The pregnancy story was completely fabricated. She had never been pregnant. While she finally stopped contacting me directly after the restraining order, I still hear disturbing things through mutual acquaintances. She started dating someone new just 3 weeks after the order was granted, but apparently talks about me constantly. According to friends who still follow her social media, she posts daily about soulmates and second chances, clearly referencing me. Her new boyfriend reached out to me last month through a mutual friend. He had found my old Reddit posts and recognized her behavior pattern. She had told him I was her abusive ex who was still stalking her. When he discovered the truth, he tried to break up with her. She responded by threatening suicide and telling his family he had assaulted her. One of her former affair partner's wives also contacted me recently. She warned me that my ex is still obsessed and likely planning to resume contact once the restraining order expires next year. Apparently she tells anyone who will listen that we're meant to be together and I'll realize it eventually. She even has our photos displayed all over her apartment and tells people I'm just going through a phase. I've taken extensive precautions since moving to the new city. I live in a secure building where all visitors must be approved. I've changed my phone number twice. My social media accounts remain deactivated except for LinkedIn, which I need for work. I even sold my car and got a different one because she knew my old license plate number. My company has been incredibly supportive through all this. They allowed me to transfer offices and work remotely when needed. They also hired additional security for our building and gave me a new email address. My boss even wrote a statement for my restraining order case after my ex tried to get me fired with false allegations. The silver lining in all this is how much I've learned about recognizing red flags. Her love bombing, rapid attachment, and controlling behavior were all warning signs I ignored. The way she used her childhood trauma to manipulate me should have been a huge red flag. I'll never again let someone rush into living together or demand access to my private information, no matter what justification they give. I'm staying single for now and focusing on rebuilding my life in the new city. I've made new friends through work and joined some sports leagues to stay social. While I still get anxious when unknown numbers call or when someone tries to add me on social media, it's getting better with time. Her brother still updates me occasionally about her behavior, so I can stay alert for potential escalation. He's finally convinced their parents to stop enabling her, but she refuses to get professional help. She's currently on probation at her new job for inappropriate behavior with married colleagues, showing she hasn't changed at all. To anyone reading this who sees similar red flags in their relationship, don't ignore them like I did. No amount of chemistry or connection is worth going through something like this. Trust your instincts and don't let anyone pressure you into moving faster than you're comfortable with.